We will not shy away from the responsibility of offering godly leadership and shepherding this nation as God's servants in matters that we know are of national concern that affects the nation and our congregations. We are in particular concerned by the reproductive health bill that is presently before Senate, a private member's bill that is sponsored or was sponsored by Senator Susan Kihika, Nakuru County. There are provisions in the bill that we find to be problematic and dangerous if approved into law in its current form. We wish to raise the following concerns about this piece of proposed legislation. The bill, number one, normalizes underage sex and goes further to open the door for children between the ages of 10 to 17 that they should receive contraceptives, safe abortion, and comprehensive sexuality education, which teaches that sex is for pleasure and that sexual pleasure is a right. If we allow sexual pleasure to be taught as a right, what happens when one wants the pleasure and there is no consenting partner of the opposite sex? It should be clear to that teaching sexual pleasure as a right would automatically create perversion, and they will engage in masturbation, same-sex relationships, rape, bestiality, incest, teenage sex. Such behavior will also lead to increased demand for abortion and eventually unstable families in future. So as church leaders, we find this to be wicked and abominable before our God, whom we recognize and acknowledge as Almighty and the God of all creation in our Constitution. The National Adolescent Sexual and Reproductive Health Policy has provisions that concerns us as it gives room to sexualize children, normalize underage sex, and provide contraceptives and safe abortion services to children from 10 to 18 years of age. We call for the adoption and implementation of the National Family Promotion and Protection Policy. That is what should be discussed. That will guide engagements in safeguarding this critical institution in the country. We also call upon the government to finalize the reproductive health policy that was developed after a consultative process and have it adopted and implemented. The policy should inform the bill, which is in line with best practices of developing a policy before legislation. The bill should therefore be shelved altogether. Otherwise, we appeal to members of the National Assembly and Senate who have the fear of God to reject this bill. We appeal to the Cabinet Secretary of Health to come out clearly on the dangers of this bill, considering that the Constitution vests the responsibility of developing a national policy to the national government. Further, we request the Cabinet Secretary of Health to urgently commence the process of revising the National Adolescent Sexual and Reproductive Health Policy and involve stakeholders. You cannot ignore the church in Kenya. You cannot ignore the evangelicals, Pentecostals, charismatics, and all churches put together. We are over 14 million in this country. Finally, we call on His Excellency, the President, to withdraw Kenya's ministerial commitment on comprehensive sexual education and sexual and reproductive health services for adolescents and young people in ESA, and that is the Eastern and Southern African. We are ready and available to share our concerns and insight on this matter.
Tunasema haya mambo tuyakomeshe, Senate muikomeshe. Tunaomba rais akatae hili jambo, akatae hii bill na ku-withdraw mahali ambapo tumekubaliana na wengine. Kuna vitu tulisema kuhusu protocols ambazo zinakubalianwa kwingineko. Lazima tukaweze kuketi chini na kuziangalia, tuone kama kwamba tutazikubali ama hatukubali, lakini msimamo wetu ni ule ule, tumezikataa.